The great sage Rabbi Akiva was once walking, and he came alongside a cemetery, and he noticed a very strange sight. A person was walking. He looked completely burnt, carrying a large bundle of wood and running as fast as he possibly can. Rabbi Akiva said to him, "Stop." And the individual said, "I'm afraid to stop." Rabbi Akiva said to him, "I decree upon you, with the power of me being a Torah sage, the scholar that I am, with the koyach of the Torah, I am decreeing upon you, you should stop and tell me what's going on." And Rabbi Akiva said to him, "If you are a slave and your master is forcing you to work, then tell me who it is, and I will go and I will redeem you. I will pay him the money for what you are worth, and you will be a free man. And if you are a poor person and you have to work so hard, then tell me, and I will give you money and I will make you rich." But what Rabbi Akiva was seeing was absolutely heartbreaking. The fellow said to Rabbi Akiva, "There are people that are watching me, and I'm afraid to stop." Rabbi Akiva said to him, "Who are the people that are watching you?" To which he answered, "Angels of heaven." And he explained. He said, "You see, Rabbi Akiva, I am not a real person. I am somebody who passed away already. And when I came upstairs to heaven," he said, "the court in heaven decreed, the Bezdin Shalmaila, I have to come back down again into this world. I have to collect wood every day. And from this wood, they make a large fire and they burn him. And this continues to happen. For the sins that he committed through his life, this is his purification and his rectification, his tikkun for his soul, for his neshama." Rabbi Akiva said to him, "What did you do? What was your job? What did you do during your lifetime in this physical world?" He said to Rabbi Akiva, "I was the tax collector. And I took advantage of the people. To the rich, I would let them off the hook. And to the poor, I pressed them so hard that many of them died as the result of starvation. I took away their monies. And when I came to heaven," he said, "they were prosecuting him for causing the deaths of so many people." Rabbi Akiva said to him, "Tell me something. Have you ever heard from these angels in heaven that there is a remedy, a cure to save you?" He said, "Yes, I did." He said, "Tell me what it is. Maybe I can help you." He said, "It's impossible." He said, "Tell me. Let me see if I can help you." He said, I heard the angels of heaven say that if only this person had a son, and this son would go to shul, and he would say Kaddish, and he would say Yehei Shmei Rabba, etc., and the crowd of worshippers, those that are davening together with him, would respond in kind, as well as this person saying Baruch Hu es Hashem HaMevorach, blessed is God who is blessed, and the crowd would answer Baruch Hashem HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed, then the merit of this mitzvah of singing the praises and the glory of Hashem, of God, then that in and of itself would redeem him from all of this punishment, and he would be able to leave purgatory, Gehenna, and return to paradise, to Gan Eden." Rabbi Akiva said to him, "Do you have any children?" He said, "Well, when he passed on, he only had a pregnant wife. But he has no idea if it was a boy, if it was a girl. He doesn't know what happened. He doesn't know any information about the rest because he passed away after that." Rabbi Akiva said, "Give me please your name and your wife's name and the town that you came from." The fellow said, "My name is Akiva." And his wife's name was Shoshniva. And the town that they came from was Lutkia. Rabbi Akiva immediately set out to the town of Lutkia. And when he saw the first people that he encountered in the town, he said to them, "What happened with the man named Akiva?" They said to him in Hebrew, "A curse. May his bones turn into powder," as if to say, nothing should be left of him. Rabbi Akiva then asked them, do you know what happened to his wife, Shushniva? They answered him, even a harsher curse. Yimachesh Shma, may her name be erased. Rabbi Akiva proceeded and asked, do you know if she gave birth to a child? They said, yes, we do. She gave birth to a baby boy, and we did not even make for him a bris. We want nothing to do with this family. Rabbi Akiva asked them, do you know where maybe I can find this child? They gave him instructions, and Rabbi Akiva went out and he found the child. And Rabbi Akiva sat down to study with this child with the hopes that he will teach him the Aleph Beis and teach him how to daven, how to pray, and he will be able to come to shul, and there he will say, Baruch Hu es Hashem HaMevorach, and he will say, Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah from the Kaddish, and that merit will take his father out of Gehenna and purgatory and allow him to go into Gan Eden, and he won't have to suffer anymore on a daily basis coming down into this world in the shape of a human body and collect wood and be burnt. Rabbi Akiva sat down. He first had to arrange that the child should have a bris. Then he sat down to tutor the child. But Rabbi Akiva noticed that there was a heavenly decree here, because whatever he was teaching him, it just wouldn't go into his head. In Yiddish, there's an expression of hashtapte kap. His head was clogged. Nothing entered. Whatever Rabbi Akiva was teaching, it just wouldn't go into his mind. He couldn't retain the letters. He couldn't retain anything. And Rabbi Akiva realized that this is not just a simple situation where a child is having difficulty learning. This is heaven's decree trying to block the child from learning. Rabbi Akiva fasted for 40 days. And after 40 days, they asked from heaven, why are you fasting? And Rabbi Akiva said, I am fasting because I'm asking God and the heavenly courts to please remove the decree and allow this child to quickly learn everything I'm going to teach him, how to read, how to daven, how to bench, and learn Torah. The heavenly decree was removed. Rabbi Akiva began to study with the child, and in a short time, the child retained everything. He learned how to read, he learned how to daven, he learned how to make the blessings, the benching, etc. He learned how to learn Torah. And of course, most importantly, Rabbi Akiva taught him Baruch Hu es Hashem HaMevorach, and he taught him how to say the Kaddish, which includes the words Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach, may the great name of God be blessed, etc. He came to shul. The child said the words Baruch Hu es Hashem HaMevorach, and the crowd responded Baruch Hashem HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Then the child said the Kaddish, and in it he said the words Yehei Shmei Rabbah, may God's name, which is great, be blessed. And the crowd responded. Shortly afterwards, Rabbi Akiva had a dream. And this soul came to Rabbi Akiva in his dream, and he said to Rabbi Akiva, I want to thank you. It is because of you that the heavenly decree was stopped. It was abolished. I no longer come down into a physical body. I'm not burnt. And I was allowed to leave the Gehenna and the purgatory. And I was allowed, obviously, to enter Gan Eden paradise. I'm reading this story, and I'm thinking to myself, it's unbelievable. We are right now in the times of counting of Sfiras Ha'omer, the 49-day window between Pesach and Shavuos, when we celebrate receiving the Ten Commandments at Mount Sinai. And during this time, every day we count the Omer. But in addition to that, it's a time of, so to speak, mourning, because thousands of students of Rabbi Akiva perished during this time. And the Gemara says, why? Nehagu kavod zeh bazeh, they did not treat each other with respect. And the Rebbe explains in a Sikha, how could that be? Rabbi Akiva is the teacher, and he's the one that taught, V'ahavta l'reyacha kamecha zeh klal gadol b'Torah. Love your fellow is a great and foundational principle of the entire Torah. So how could it be that the very students of Rabbi Akiva who taught this should not even have respect for each other? And the Rebbe explains that's precisely it. Each one was convinced they were right in their perspective of how to learn the Torah. And therefore, they were so zealous about it that they felt the other person is wrong, and I have to force him, I have to explain to him, no, you're wrong and my opinion is right. And therefore, the fact that they didn't have kavod, didn't have honor for each other, and say, this is my opinion, but the other person sees it differently. Maybe their opinion is right. Let me consider it. And let me present to them why I think I am right, and let me hear what they respond, etc. You have a right to your own opinion, but allow somebody else to explain why they disagree. The fact that they didn't treat each other with respect, which violated the very principle that Rabbi Akiva taught, v'yahavta l'reyacha kamecha, brought upon them, unfortunately, a plague, and many of them perished all the way to Lag B'Omer, which is the reason until this very day, if you'll ask any Jewish caterer, they know, there are very few Jewish functions this time of the year, because you're not allowed to have live music, you don't do marriages now, etc. Parties and celebrations are on hold until Lag B'Omer. So as we go through this time of the year, when we all count the Omer, and according to Chassidus, and it's printed in most of the Sidurim, when we say the Omer, we count 49 days because there are 7 emotions, and we are refining our emotions every day, one of them, and the 7 are intertwined and interconnected with the other 7, so 7 times 7 is 49. That's the 49 days between Passover, between Pesach and Shavuos. On this particular time, when we see the story of Rabbi Akiva, that he went to help a person who wasn't even a living human being, it was a soul from heaven. It was only embodied in a human being's body. And Rabbi Akiva went and he found and located a Jewish orphan who didn't have a mother and didn't have a father. And this orphan's parents, unfortunately, were hated so much by the community that they cursed them. He should turn into dust and powder, and her name should be erased. And it was this child that Rabbi Akiva said, but I care. And I'm going to sit down with this child, and if it means that giving this child attention means that I'm going to have to fast for 40 days and ask God to open up this child's heart and mind, I will do so. And then Rabbi Akiva, after 40 days, had to sit down and teach him the Aleph Beis, starting from scratch. It wasn't an easy task. Just for one Jewish child to be able to have what he needs, and in turn, he should be able to save the soul of his father, who is in Gehenna and suffering every day coming down into this world. Perhaps there is a lesson here, how we, in this current time, could at least try to look, how could we become better? How can we practice the mitzvah of Ahavas Yisrael? How can we love another fellow Jew, kamoicha, like ourselves, in the same way we don't want to be judged, and we don't want somebody to accuse us, then grant somebody else the same courtesy, and let us go out of our way and see to it to help every Jewish child in whatever situation they may be, without being judgmental about it, and spend as much time as necessary to make sure that that child's needs are granted. I came across a letter, I should say really a note, that somebody wrote after he left a private audience with the Rebbe and the Yechidus at 770 Eastern Parkway. And this individual obviously complained that he's having a hard time with simcha, with happiness. And as we all know, Yiddishkeit in general, Judaism demands we should be happy, and especially Hasidic thought demands we should be happy. Because if you're not going to be happy, it's going to be very hard to serve Hashem with a full heart. Your mind's not going to be in it. You're not really interested. You don't have, as we say in Yiddish, a geschmack, a pleasure, a tainug of what you're doing. So the happiness is an ingredient that ensures your performance of the mitzvah is done properly, wholeheartedly. So the Rebbe said to this person, and I'm going to read from a note that I found. The Rebbe writes to him, the Rebbe said to him, simcha, happiness, comes to a person when you feel that you have something valuable, or you just gain something additional, something new that is valuable. And the greater the value of what you received, then the greater the happiness that you have. And therefore, when a person thinks about the fact that we are a finite human being, and nevertheless, the creator of the universe gives us the ability to perform a mitzvah, a commandment, and through this we connect to the creator, which is the greatest connection and elevation that a human being can do, going from a finite, limited human being to being connected in an infinite manner with the infinite creator, then therefore this in and of itself should bring you to a state of great joy. But even if a person sinned, and therefore you violated Hashem's will, and now you feel you disconnected, so the Rebbe says to the contrary. When you think of the fact that Hashem says that somebody who sinned, if he does proper tshuva, and he asks for forgiveness, and most importantly, he returns to the proper path, then not only does God overlook the negatives, but the Gemara says, the negatives transform into positives. So to speak, instead of your bank account being negative $500 million, all of a sudden you're positive $500 million. Wow, that's a treasure. And therefore, by regretting the past and looking forward to the future, you can have happiness. And the Rebbe concluded with the following thought. Therefore, no matter what, the person always has with what to be happy. If he's behaving and he's doing the mitzvahs the way he's supposed to do, of course he has to be happy. He has what to celebrate. And if the person made a mistake, then to the contrary, he knows that he can transform this mistake by recognizing and taking responsibility, and then Hashem himself will transform this into positives, and it will become a plus in his account and not a negative. May Hashem grant each and every single one of us, as we are going through these challenging times, which, God willing, we will come out on the other side, as we say in Yiddish, Gesundheit und Freilichkeit und Lebendigkeit, healthy and fine and alive. But let us maximize our opportunity. We have an opportunity to help others, which is, as Rabbi Akiva said, Zeh klal gadol b'Torah. It is a great foundational principle of the entire Torah. And it's something that Hashem enjoys so much. And surely, in the same way that Hashem sees that you will go out of your way, and each of us will go out of our way to help Hashem's children, then certainly Hashem will respond in kind and grant each and every single one of us our requests, and grant us good health and long life, and we will together merit to see the coming of Mashiach, when the world will be healed and cured from all illness, speedily in our very own times. V'mheira v'yameinu. Amen.